His question is, what is the common factor or lowest common denominator, if you will, in various spiritual paths, because they look different. I think ultimately it is about merging in your higher self. Whether you merge in your higher self once you're dead, or you experience that merging in your higher self while you're alive, that is pretty much the realization of your spiritual journey. Because once you merge in your higher self or in that supreme consciousness, thereafter your method or your manner of looking at the world, at people, at circumstances, at things will change naturally. Because now you're having an aerial view. If you're in your home, you can't see outside unless you do it from a window. Even in that case, it's a 2D view, two-dimensional view. You're only looking in that direction. Once you step out of your house, if you're at the same level, you still see some walls and you can't see past the walls. The moment you take a flight and you're rising gradually higher and higher, you see a different view. The higher you rise, the view changes. And once you are really cruising at a very high altitude, it's all the same. You only see clouds. You don't see anything else. So when you merge in higher consciousness, you're operating at such a great elevation of consciousness that you are past all these views, these dimensions, this disparity, these contradictions. That is, all you're seeing is oneness. You're just cruising at that high altitude. When you are at high altitude and cruising, you are covering latitude as well as altitude. And both are anagrams if you paid attention. So that's what the ultimate is in any spiritual path. That realization of the self, which comes from merging in your higher self, which comes from living a mindful life, which comes from being a genuine person. If you're genuine, all the good qualities will come to you naturally. The battle with your negative side will still go on. That will always be there. But it won't overpower you as much. It won't derail you completely. It is going to be short-lived. In Sanatan Dharma scriptures, or in old Greek texts, there is always this gods fighting with, people or elements that are not godly. So Devasura Sangram, it's called. It has always been going on. Your negative forces against your positive forces. Whatever you feed will be strengthened. That's the answer.
Swamiji, how do you differentiate, or rather how do you draw a line between doing and overdoing? Between patience and over-patience, between faith and blind faith, between belief and over-belief? Or what could be an indicator to let you know that you're crossing the line now? Because my upper limit could be a lower limit for you.
Yes.
So how
His question is, when do you know you're doing something versus you're overdoing it? To be honest with you, there is no clear way of knowing it. How would you know? Really. But what happens is this. When you're doing something and it completely takes over your life, you're overdoing it. Simple. If you are doing it well knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it, you're not overdoing it. Plus, some things cannot be accomplished unless or until they're overdone. So some things you have to overdo. But consistency is infinitely more important than any amount of one-off big effort. If you're consistent, you won't need to overdo much. Plus, overdoing is not always bad. It just means you have put your focus, your attention, you've placed your priority on that thing above every other thing. All the other things, there is no clear distinction. How can we say, for example, this is faith, this is blind faith? I mean, I don't think if you're wearing specs, that's good faith, and if you can't see, that's blind faith. I think it's just a matter of deep in your heart, when you remain open to a possibility, you are not blind. For example, in Ramcharitmanas it says, if somebody speaks ill of your guru, you should pull their tongue out. I think if somebody speaks ill of your guru, hear them out. They may be right. Blind faith would be, I'm just not listening. I don't care what you have to say. Faith would be, let me listen. If I am following truth, I will stand even stronger. And I've given this example earlier, many years ago. I was reading this Buddhist text, and another saint saw that book in my hand. He said, oh, this doesn't look like one of our scriptures. And I said, well, it's this text here, it's Buddhist. He said, I would strongly advise you against it, he said. Why are you reading Buddhist text? And he was old, so he had a tendency to speak loud. And the moment you would tell him, please don't speak loudly, he would speak even more loudly, shouting at you. I am not speaking loudly, he would say. So he said, why are you reading this? I said, why? I just would like to know what they have to say about this. He said, they don't believe in any God. It will shake your own faith. He said, you should only read your own scriptures, because otherwise you'll end up very confused. I said, actually, I would like to know if my faith is so weak that I would be exposed to a different perspective or a school of thought, and suddenly I will say, oh my God, I've been praying to the wrong God for 20 years. I would like to be clear about it. If that is indeed the case, maybe who knows to say. So is my faith so weak that I would listen to somebody and say, okay, my truth was not the truth? Sometimes, not sometimes, often, there can be more than two truths, more than one truth. So blind faith would be to not even show that openness, that okay, let me at least listen to you, maybe what you're saying is the truth. This question is, most spiritual gurus are born with special blessings. No, it's not true. What does happen in the case of people who walk a certain path in life, there are some samskara from purva janma, from previous lifetimes, that pull them towards leading a certain life. Sometimes they're too strong. I meet people all the time, people who are educated, well off, people who could be making a killing out there, people who could be succeeding in any material field they could so choose, people who don't lack anything, and yet they say that life is not for us. We don't want to be doing that. Instead, we wish to maybe A, lead a more simple life, or B, more spiritual life. So sometimes they say, this is, we would rather be meditating, would rather just be praying, would rather be serving than going out there and leading the kind of life that most people do. It's that samskara from many lifetimes that when it matures, it really, almost I could say this, covers your reasoning ability, covers your reason, and you just call it blind, but you just say, this is all I'm going to do. And nobody can talk these people out of it. So everybody is born with a special blessing. Everybody. Being born is a blessing. I once read this quote which referred to music, that no musician can ever fail, because being one is success itself. Just the fact that you are existing means deep in your very being, you are carrying certain seed of greatness. Because thousands and thousands of people in your lineage before you have existed at the precise moment they were supposed to exist, because of which you are here. If they were not there, if even one of them in the chain wasn't there, you won't be here. And then you competed, you actually competed against millions of other sperms to fight for existence. So there is a degree of self-determination, there is a degree of blessing, there is a degree of grace, there is an element of success already there. And that's why tendencies can be so hard to break, because you are the result of your undying courage that I am going to make it, and I'm going to hang in there literally, and be born one day and walk my path. So being born is a special blessing, but to be able to lead your life in a special manner in that blessing is a different ball game.